Hi, I'm Eric. Today we've got this Ram in the bay so I can show you how easily you can add the convenience of remote start to your truck with StartX. This kit is compatible with 2019 and newer Ram trucks. Other than one wire we have to splice into, the kit is plug and play. Requiring just a few basic tools, we're confident you can complete this upgrade to your vehicle in the comfort of your own garage in one afternoon. Let's take a look at what's included in the box. We have our remote start module, our vehicle-specific plug-in harness, our ignition wire that will splice into the vehicle, a USB programmer for Mac or PC, a pry tool, a warning sticker that lets people know we have a remote starter equipped on the vehicle, and the instruction manual. Let's take a look at some of the tools we're going to use on today's installation. First, we're going to want to disconnect the negative terminal of the battery, so we're going to use a ratchet with a socket, commonly 10 millimeters. It may be different in your vehicle. A drill with a 7 millimeter socket, a pry tool, wire strippers, electrical tape, and crimpers. Let's take a closer look at what's included with our vehicle-specific harness packaging. Our vehicle harness has an ignition T-switch harness and a single CAN bus connector. These other connectors are for the remote start module. We have a secondary harness, which is an ignition tap. We do have to tap the ignition wire and splice this into that wire. And a number of zip ties are included so we can secure the module and the wiring up under the dash. Now let's take a close look at what's included with our USB programmer. We have the USB dongle. The connection cable has two connectors which are the same. Plug either connector into the end of the dongle. The other connector plugs into the remote start module. Now this is ready to connect to the PC for programming. Before we begin our installation, we're going to disconnect the vehicle's negative battery terminal. Typically this requires a ratchet with a 10 millimeter socket. Your vehicle may require a different size socket. Loosen the bolt, then slide off the connector. It may help to wiggle it a little bit while removing it. Be sure the cable is away from the terminal. Begin by removing the two 7 millimeter bolts at the bottom of the dash panel below the steering wheel. Now we can pull this panel toward the rear of the truck to release the clips on the back. Then we can lower this panel. Press in on the latch tabs on the sides of the OBD2 connector to remove it from the mounting location. If we unplug this little connector by pressing the latch tab and pulling it out, this will allow us to lower the panel further out of the way. Next, we can remove the headlight switch panel. Using a pry tool, we can carefully pry here up under the far right edge and pull the panel toward the rear of the vehicle. This gives us access to the green CAN bus connection point, where we'll plug in our white CAN bus connector. These are the harnesses we'll connect inside the dash. This one is for the start-stop button. Let's pass this single white CAN bus connector up through the dash to the headlight switch opening. We want to plug this into any of the open ports on the large green connector. Next, our T-harness will plug into the back of the start-stop button. Now we can reinstall the headlight switch panel by snapping it back into position. Let's keep this high up behind the dash by passing it up over the dash support brackets and across the opening, like this. Then if we reach up under the dash, right behind the Start-Stop button, we can feel the latch tab on the right side of the connector toward the center of the truck. Pull this harness out. Now plug it into the female connector on our T-harness. Now with the latch tab on the right, plug the connector on the other end of the harness into the Stop-Start button. There are some large gauge wires here. If we release this fastener on the harness, we can move these wires up and out of the way a bit. This gives us access to the vehicle's BCM. There's a large 48-pin black and gray plug. Locate the wires coming from this plug and carefully unwrap the tape around this harness. There's a brown wire with a black stripe located in pin 27. This is the wire we need to tap into. Using wire strippers, we want to carefully remove some of the insulation on this wire, but not cut the wire. We need to splice our ignition tap wire into this wire. This single wire harness is the ignition tap wire. Strip some of the insulation off at the end of this gray with red stripe wire. Now wrap the cut wire around the exposed wire multiple times to ensure they're connected well. Wrap some electrical tape around the spliced wires. Then we can use a zip tie over the connection point to further reinforce the connection. Now we can rewrap the tape around the wiring as much as possible. Here we can see the original harness with our tapped wire that we added. All of these connectors are for the remote start module. Now before we can program the module, we need to reconnect the vehicle's negative battery terminal. Now let's program the module. Press and hold the programming button. While holding the button down, plug in the black connector into the module. Keep holding the button until the red LED flashes. With the red LED flashing, release the programming button. The module is now reset. Plug in the remaining connectors into the module. Then close the driver's side door and reopen the driver door. Press unlock on the OEM remote until the green LED on the module flashes. You may have to press unlock multiple times. Without pressing the brake, press the start-stop button twice. Wait 5 seconds. The LED should flash green. When it's flashing green, press the start-stop button again to turn the truck off. Disconnect all the harnesses from the module, disconnecting the black connector last. Now we can take this module over to our computer and flash it. Before we can flash the module with the PC app, we need to create an account so we can log in. On your PC, visit weblinkupdater.com and create an account. You'll also need to download the WebLink desktop software. Downloads are available for Mac and PC. Download and install the app, following the prompts on screen. Agree to the terms and click Next. Click Next and Install. Continue clicking Next and I agree until ultimately clicking Finish to complete the installation. Create an account. You'll receive an email. Access that email to complete the registration process. Bring the remote start module, the USB programmer, and its cable over to the computer. The cable is the same on both ends, so plug either end into our programmer and the other end into the module. Connect the USB programmer into a port on your computer. Run the WebLink desktop app. Click the icon labeled WebLink RS. The module should be recognized. If it's not, then check your connections and click Try Again. Now click the button labeled Start Extended Programming. Next, click the button labeled Continue Extended Programming. Then please wait patiently. Sometimes this process takes a little while. When the bar reaches 100%, we will get a pop-up. Only after we see Flash completed successfully, then click OK. Now we can disconnect the module from the computer and the cables. Bring the module back into the truck and reconnect all the harnesses. Again, without pressing the brake pedal, press the Start-Stop button twice and wait for the green LED to illuminate solid. When the LED is solid, programming is complete. Press the Start-Stop button to turn the truck off. Now we can use the supplied zip ties to secure the module and the wiring behind the dash. We can pass a zip tie through the end of the module and attach it to the factory wiring. Trimming the excess off the zip ties keeps things as tidy as possible behind the dash. Here we can see the module tucked safely up behind the dash. Now we can reassemble the vehicle. Reconnect the small plug at the bottom of this panel. Reinstall the OBD2 connector by snapping it into the factory location. Reinstall the plastic trim panel by aligning the clips and pressing it forward into position. Now finally reinstall the two 7mm screws at the bottom of the panel. And that completes the installation of our StartX remote starter on our Ram truck. Now we simply press the factory lock button 3 times and we can remote start our truck. We hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching.